Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Jason McIntyre, joined, as I have been all week, by my man, Greg Jennings, and the esteemed Rob Parker.
Wow, esteemed.
We're
Does that mean I'm old?
We're firing on all cylinders, gentlemen. Ahead on the show, does Aaron Rodgers have something to prove? And is Tom Brady showing signs of decline? I can't believe we're talking about Tom Brady.
You know what? Chris Collinsworth has always been one of my favorite football analysts.
Of course he has. But we get started with Kyler Murray. The rookie sensation steps back on the field tonight against the Raiders in his second preseason game. Murray went 6 for 7 for 44 yards and just one series in his debut last week. Cardinals GM Steve Keim obviously thinks highly of the rookie by taking him number 1 overall and trading away the previous year's 10th overall pick, Josh Rosen. Keim told The Ringer, taking this guy number 1, I took a lot of grief for that. You have to make the tough decisions and avoid the outside noise. Why'd you give up on this guy? Why would you trade this guy? It's unprecedented. I took Rosen in the top 10. I just felt that Murray was a generational talent that I just couldn't pass up. Rob Parker, we'll start with you. Is it crazy to call Kyler Murray a generational talent?
It's crazy. It's mashugana, whatever word you want to use. It is crazy, only from this standpoint. And first, I want to give him credit, because Kyler Murray, first ever player in this country to be drafted by the NFL in the first round and Major League Baseball. So we already know, right? He's a special athlete.
Okay.
No doubt. So I'm not trying to poo-poo him as an athlete. But in this case, Steve Keim has no other choice than to put all his chips in the center of the table. Because when you draft a guy like Josh Rosen and give him up after his first year and then go draft another quarterback, you're admitting that you made a mistake, right? And drafting Rosen from the beginning. So now you have to be all in on this, because this is not only your job with the Arizona Cardinals, your career. It really is. So he's got to talk him up. He's got to hope that everything works out. He's an undersized quarterback who only played 29 college games, right? Making a transition from college to the NFL, there's been a lot of guys who are great college football players, but it doesn't translate. So we don't really know. We don't. And this is not a traditional quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. And we've seen this played out over and over with guys, okay, Mike Vick's going to change the NFL, Colin Kaepernick's going to change the NFL, RG3's going to change the NFL. We've seen it.
Yeah.
And most of the time it hasn't happened. Not that they haven't had some success. We even had Ron Jaworski, as a football analyst, go as far as to say that Colin Kaepernick was going to be, he did say it, Greg, that he was going to be the greatest quarterback who ever played. Do you remember Kaepernick in those early years? Do you remember the playoff game against Green Bay?
I do. I was there on the other side.
Right? When he rushed for 400
on the
yards.
field for that one,
Do you
yes.
remember that? When you guys couldn't touch him. I don't know if y'all touched him that game. Maybe you touched him after the game when you shook his hand.
I definitely didn't touch him because I didn't play defense.
But you know what I'm saying. Your defense couldn't touch him. But I think this is all premature and way too early to say that. You could say he's something special. I'm intrigued by him. I think he has a chance, you know what I mean, to do something that maybe hasn't been able to been done before. But I just can't. Generational, I'm not with that, not yet.
Yeah.
When you look at Steve Keim and his history of what he's brought in at quarterback, this is a generational talent right
here. It just means that he's a bad GM.
Yes, that's what it is.
You can call whatever you want to, but this Kyler Murray kid is a generational talent. And for all the reasons that you mentioned one of the primary reasons why he views him, and we should view him as such. It's not about what he hasn't done yet in the National Football League, because that's to be seen. But you mentioned the only player ever to be drafted top 10 in the Major League Baseball, as well as top 10, number 1 overall, in the National Football League. We have never seen that before, and we possibly will never see that again. So from the outset, impressive. Congratulations to Kyler Murray. Can we not forget his transition that he had to make after a Baker Mayfield Heisman Trophy winner year that he put on, all the records that Baker Mayfield set, and all the hype that left with Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma? And we thought, man, Oklahoma, will they even be another relevant team? Will they have another relevant year? And then this kid, Kyler Murray, steps in, not only starts to knock down some of these statistical records that Baker Mayfield set in place, he backs it up by another Heisman Trophy win season. Like, he has been proven to step in and make impact right away. You talk about him only playing 29 collegiate football games.
That's all we got.
That's all we needed.
Well, wait, hold on. He only started 17.
He only started 17. And his interceptions that he did throw, the 7 that he did throw was early in his collegiate career. Last year, he threw 42 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, equivalent to what he had already thrown early in his collegiate career. So don't tell me this guy only has played 29 games, started 17. He is proven to sit back, watch what he had before him, educate himself, learn, go through the process, and then when it was his turn, take full advantage of it. I like Kyler Murray not only because of his stature, not only because of his speed, but his dynamic ability to not only lead, but also make game-breaking plays. When you watch a guy like Kyler Murray, we haven't seen this type of talent since Michael Vick. And Michael Vick himself said that he possibly will be better than what he was even running the football.
Okay, but generational talent is different from generational athlete. I would agree with what you said. As an athlete, he's there, right? Baseball, football. But to back up what Rob Parker said, you are now putting this tag of generational talent on a guy who carved up the Big 12, where they don't play a lick of defense.
I was going to say...
They don't play any defense in the Big 12.
And you just made the point when Baker Mayfield was able to do it, and then another guy
comes... Is it Lincoln Riley's system, or is it Kyler Murray? Now, we know Kyler's awesome. He is immensely talented, over 4,000 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing. Only Deshaun Watson had done that before in college football. But the burden of expectation that you're putting on this young guy, the GM really messed up here, Greg. You can't do this to Kyler Murray. Let me just back up to last year. Arizona Cardinals were awful. They set, for the first time in 18 years, a starting offensive line had 13 different guys start. Josh Rosen had no chance back there. I feel bad for Kyler Murray. He already ran for his life, because that's what he does. He is going to be scrambling from the jump in Arizona. He's going to have no chance to be a generational talent. No shot behind that awful offensive line.
This is why it works. This is why it works, because you get an elusive guy who has escapability, who can extend the play, who can play outside the pocket and still be accurate, still keep his eyes down the field, still make plays throwing the football, but also with his legs.
But hold on.
This is the difference between he and Josh Rosen.
You think defenses are going to go after him when they know he's elusive? Yeah. Do you really believe like they're going to go sack Kyler Murray? Or are they going to play knowing that he's elusive and can run with the football? Just for the record,
speaking of elusive, Carson Wentz is elusive. He's 6'5". He's gotten knocked out the last 2 seasons. Andrew Luck is 6'4". These are strapping dudes who are getting jacked badly. Andrew Luck can't stay healthy. You're telling me a 5'10", 207 guy with no offensive line has the potential to be a generational talent?
I absolutely believe it. And here, you talk about size, and this is where I don't want us to just focus on his size, because let's not act like we haven't had players that have been small. We have a Tariq Cohen and guys like...
Wait, is he a quarterback?
No, he's a running back. He's one of the smaller running backs in the National Football League. We have, who's with the Philadelphia Eagles right now?
Sproles.
Yes, Sproles, one of the smaller guys. These guys playing running back all automatically have an advantage because they're smaller. They're not seen within the tackles. You can ask any defensive player, defensive lineman, linebacker, it is more challenging to get a visual on these guys because you can't find them. They hide behind the guys that are 6'5", 6'6". Now, if that's the only thing that you guys can attack Kyler Murray for,
nobody's
attacking. But we're attacking the phrase of generational talent.
I just think it's a stretch.
I think Murray's going to be good this year. We would agree. Murray is talented. He is fun to watch. We like the Cardinals. But you're putting this on a guy who basically has to be the franchise savior for a franchise that's been garbage.
This has been a franchise that's been wandering the desert for the last 25 years.
Well, Carson Palmer took him to an NFC title game.
But I'm just saying, but this franchise has made a lot of mistakes, and I'm not saying that this is a mistake. All I'm saying is, Keim, the general manager, is just, I get it. He needs to save his bacon by putting all this on this kid, and you're setting the kid up for failure. For expectations. And I got to meet him down in the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and I don't know, 5'9".
He's not bigger than me.
He's definitely not. Have you seen him?
Absolutely, I was down there with you.
Yeah, you're right, you were down there. And I don't know, I mean, he's a smaller guy. I have to wait to see how it translates to the NFL. I'm not there yet, Greg, until I see it.
I don't want to make this a Steve Keim thing, but he has also drafted 2 guys in the top 10 in the last 6 years. Both of them got traded within the first 2 years. So I don't know if he knows how to identify talent. Greg, I got to ask you, Kyler Murray comes out. If they don't bring in Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach, who obviously knows the system well, Lincoln Riley, the high octane
and was in love with him.
I mean, does Kyler Murray go in the top 5? Is anybody taking him that high?
Yes.
Who?
Yes, it doesn't matter who. Let's talk about where he is right now and why he is where he is right now. It's because of Cliff Kingsbury, the system that they feel like fits a Kyler Murray. It's when you talk about generational talent, like we make it seem like he has to have done so much in his national or pro career, National Football League career, to just be a generational talent. We've seen Tua in college. We're looking at him as a special talent, not calling him a generational talent. Baker Mayfield and what he did in college and what it
I never heard anybody call Baker Mayfield that.
No, they didn't need to, but there was doubts. There was doubters.
There was only one season.
Against Baker Mayfield as well.
RG3 had a good year. Remember?
No, he had a really good rookie year. Will you admit that?
Happened?
Can you at least admit that?
I can admit that.
He had a great rookie year.
But anytime you swing, you know this, you play softball. You're a big baseball guy. Anytime you're up at bat, you're not going to strike out every single time you're up there. You might strike out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but you're eventually going to hit the ball.
I don't strike out at softball.
And that's what Steve Keim has done.
That's not a good way to keep
He's hitting the ball right now with Kyler Murray. A home run, we'll see. That's left up to Kyler Murray and what he provides us as far as production in the National Football League. But I believe that he can be a transcendent player because of his unique skill set and his ability to not only run the ball in between the hashes and outside the hashes, but his throwing ability and his accuracy as well.
But, Greg, you know this, and we see it all the time. There's always, your first time, your first look, even people got to look at you, you're going to be able to do something. And then there's an adjustment, right? So Kyler Murray will have to face that adjustment like everybody does. It's even like Patrick Mahomes. You know coming in this year there's going to be an adjustment.
Of course.
Because that's what it is. And I'm just trying to say, so far, we just saw, I don't think he threw a ball past 10 yards or whatever in the first game. And we'll see how that plays out, if it's just quick little passes.
He's not going to have any time.
No, that's what I'm saying. Or they allow him to, you know what I mean, fire it up and throw it downfield. So I would rather take a wait-and-see approach at him, not because he's not talented, but because I think people will make an adjustment. I don't believe that people are going to let him run all over the place and attack the quarterback and open up these things for him to be able to slip through and run for 40 yards. If you don't have a spy or somebody that sticks there on him to try to make sure that this guy doesn't do that, because that's a big part of his game.
You know what I like? The phrase under-promise and over-deliver, right? Hey, we're hosting Undisputed this week. We're going to have fun. But behind the scenes, we're like, we're going to crush this. We are going to have the great topics. We're going to have interesting sparks of debate. And I just wish Keim would have done that. Under-promise with Kyler. Don't say he's generational, okay? He had 17 starts in college. The other 2 small quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield, they had 46 college starts. They've been around the block multiple times. They've seen many defenses. These guys were ready to deliver when they came into the league. I just don't know that Kyler Murray right out of the gate. Now, week 1, he might shock the Lions because they're not going to have seen any of this stuff. Going forward,
You
I
saw
think
what
it's
Sam
gonna-
Darnold did to the Lions.
Darnold did carve
right?
up. Yeah, well, Sam Darnold's a much better.
No, but I'm just saying what he did in his first game.
Yes. So, Greg, generational talent. He's not in the realm of, some of these guys. Aaron Rodgers is generational.
He's not.
talent.
That's not what he's saying. I was waiting on one of you to start comparing him
I'm
to all
looking for
these.
generational guys.
What
Mike Vick was not a generational guy. Excellent quarterback, awesome talent, incredible at Virginia Tech. I saw him live many times. He works here at Fox, but he wasn't a generation.
No, Mike Vick didn't have the career that Kyler Murray did in college as far as throwing the football. He running the football, yes, but throwing the football, no. Mike Vick will tell you that himself. But when you watch Kyler Murray, everything that he does jumps out at you. That's why you can jump out here and say, this is like someone coming out and saying, you know what, Kyler Murray, he's gonna be an okay player. You know, you're under.
You don't want to say okay. It's better than okay.
We're very excited about the offense and
my point exactly. But the moment he starts to have success, and then year 2 he has success, and year 3, everybody, you know what everybody starts to say? Man, we knew coming out of college he was going to be a generational talent.
And if
he was going to be excited.
And if he fails, what do they say?
Steve Keim's gone by Thanksgiving.
And they say, we told you so, like all the teams that wouldn't even entertain.
This is
the risk.
Explain to him that they traded up for Josh Rosen last year.
Right.
Traded up for a guy they loved.
I'm not.
And now they just dump him.
I am not at all defending Steve Keim here. Let me make that clear. I'm not defending him at all because he has made his share of strikeouts, and he probably will continue to do that. But right here, right now, with this pick, Kyler Murray, it fits what they're trying to do with Cliff Kingsbury and where they're going. You talk about the struggles of the offensive line. A quarterback that can elude tackles, that it can extend plays, that can get outside of the tackle box, and then still keep his eyes downfield, but have the dual threat capability of running the ball, that solves a little bit of that problem. It doesn't solve it completely, but it solves a lot of that.
What's his biggest weakness when you look at Kyler Murray coming into the NFL? What would you say, like, his biggest?
Probably experience, right? I mean, 17 starts.
But I'm just saying, like when you look at his game, is there anything that you say?
The only thing that I can sit here and say that stands out is his size.
Okay.
And I can't say that that's going to work against him because he's proven otherwise.
So far,
he's proven otherwise. But will his size catch up to him possibly and get some passes knocked down? Yes, all quarterbacks get passes batted down. But
if you think back to that Alabama game in last year college football, he looked overwhelmed early in the moment. It looked too big for him. I think it was 28-0, like before you snap your fingers. But in the second half, I saw a lot that I liked out of Kyler Murray. That spirited comeback, that Alabama defense loaded with future pros. And Murray looked very, very good running and passing. I don't want to come off as a hater. I know people think because of Antonio Brown the last couple days, I'm a hater. I'm not. I like Kyler Murray a lot. I do believe, as Rob said, generational talent is such a big label to put on a guy.
It is a big label.
And it's not helping his cause.
It's a big label, but when you know you have a guy that has big shoulders and broad shoulders and can stand in that spotlight and deliver, it's not big enough for Kyler Murray because he didn't say it. He didn't say it, so he doesn't have to live up to something that someone else says. He's going to be who he is. So I'm not concerned about that. All he has to do, he's won over that locker room. He has stepped in right away and taken the leadership role, and it hasn't been so much of a vocal thing. It's been what guys have seen. Patrick Peterson has come out and said, this guy is amazing. I like what I'm seeing out of him. He can make every throw. He can run between the hashes.
But Greg, and let me this is NFL talk, and you know this. The real story would be if one of the players say this guy can't play. Everybody's great. Everybody when they're drafted. I'm yet to hear any player ever say, right?
Very true.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's what you got to do, step up. Daniel Jones is now the greatest quarterback ever with the Giants.
He's generational.
Exactly.
He might be.
You know what I mean? So when I hear that, I just pump the brakes because teammates are supposed to
I get it. I want to touch on something you said about the Alabama game and Kyler Murray and him being overwhelmed in the first half and all of that.
First quarter, yeah.
First quarter, whatever you said. The difference there was you have one guy in Kyler Murray who is everything, going up against an entire team of Alabama first, second, third round NFL players.
His star receiver was hurt.
Like
Hollywood
you
Brown,
can't,
yeah.
you can't do that. There's no way you're gonna beat them with just yourself and no. I'm not gonna say no talent, but lesser talent against an Alabama school. That's just not fair. So for you to even throw that out there.
There was a generational talent who did that in the title game. His name is Trevor Lawrence. All right, let's move on. Is it true that Tom Brady is on the decline? We'll discuss that, and don't forget, you can check us out every day on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM. We'll be right back.
No mercy.
Tonight, we finally see Aaron Rodgers on the field for the first time under new head coach Matt LaFleur as the Packers face the Ravens in Baltimore. LaFleur told reporters earlier this week that Rodgers will play a quarter or so. Many are interested to see the dynamic of these two on the field after Rodgers denied reports of a rift between his coach, calling it fake news. Rodgers' reputation has taken a slight ding recently between criticisms in the locker room and missing the playoffs the past 2 seasons. Greg, does your boy Aaron Rodgers, does he have anything to prove?
No, he does not. He does not. And you said his reputation has taken a ding. Slight ding because he's missed the playoffs and
can't stay healthy.
I mean, injury is a part of the game, number one. But when you're not able to be on the field and perform and provide the production that he provides for that team, that franchise, then yes, they're going to miss the playoffs. I mean, this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. We just got done talking about a generational talent. This is a future first ballot Hall of Famer, no question, no doubt. Last year, him playing the entire year, Rob, being injured the entire year.
You remember
from
game
week
one against the
Khalil
Bears.
Mack, and still coming back to win that game and playing out the rest of the year. It showed not only toughness, but his ability to have resolve, but to be able to play and play at a high level. Brett Favre told me this one time, and I'll never forget it. He said the difference between players playing injured and choosing not to play, he said, when a guy says he's going to play and he's injured, it's not one thing just to play, but can you still be great? Can you still be 85% better or not? And if you can't do that, then don't play. Aaron Rodgers has proven he can do that. But last year, let me just give you these stats really quick.
Tell me his bad year that he had.
Exactly. Over 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Now, mind you, this is with Randall Cobb, who was injured on and off last year. Devontae Adams, we know what he is. He's been a constant, great player. We love what he provides. No Geronimo Allison, no other guys. Aaron Jones in and out. This is a guy that's had to bear the load his entire career, basically, when it comes to not having a running game. And so for him to have something to prove, no, the only thing we need to see from Aaron Rodgers is can he foster this relationship, and can he make sure that stays in the back of everybody's mind and his play stays out front.
So that qualifies as something to prove, right?
That is the only thing he needs to prove. As far as his performance on the field, no, he has absolutely zero to prove. We know who that guy is. Yeah. We know what he can do. We know what he provides. With him being on the field, we talk about the Green Bay Packers being Super Bowl contenders. Why? Mm-hmm. Because of Aaron Rodgers, not because of anybody that's going to come back. Obviously, they get a healthy Geronimo Ellison back, who they expect big things out of. We know, again, as I mentioned, who Devontae Adams is, but Aaron Rodgers, it's like the Andrew Luck situation. You unplug that guy, we're not talking about the Green Bay Packers. You insert that guy, we're talking about Super Bowl.
No doubt about it. And you hit a lot of points that I wanted to make as well, because I think people have just, and you know, when you talk about the slight dings that he mentioned, it's just natural. It's natural when such a guy on such a perch has some down years, but to your point, based off of injury, not where he's healthy and he didn't play well, then those are the guys, I think, so people looked at openings to say, oh, see, Aaron Rodgers, he ain't that guy. He's only 500 his last 2 years when you add up all the wins. But nobody wants to talk about all the injuries. Nobody wants to talk about the defenses. This guy's been in playoff games where his defense has given up 40-plus points 3 or 4 times, Greg, and he's supposed to win games, and people look at him and say, why hasn't he gotten to more Super Bowls and why hasn't he won more Super Bowls? I believe that Aaron Rodgers, all he has to do is stay healthy. If this guy stays healthy and can play all 16 games, I believe he can be MVP still.
Yeah.
I know he's 35, but Greg, he sat his first 3 years. To me, he's more like 32 quarterback years in the NFL, right? Because he didn't take as many hits early on. Tom Brady went 10 years between winning Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, is at 9. Oof. So I believe that he could have a second breath of fresh air in his career, win maybe 1 or 2 more Super Bowls. And then when you look at all of his numbers and look at everything that this guy was able to accomplish, there will be no question to anybody about how great Aaron Rodgers is because he has all the other numbers. The only thing he's missing is probably 2 pieces of hardware. He's won multiple MVPs. What hasn't he done? Greatest quarterback rating in the history of any quarterback who's ever played. He has the greatest touchdown to interception ratio of anybody. He had a streak, wasn't it last year, where he set the record of consecutive completions.
Yes.
Yeah. But he has that record. He's done everything. And now I believe with a new coaching system, it was time for Mike McCarthy to go. Sometimes you guys are around too long. I believe that this is going to be a rebirth of Aaron Rodgers. And defensively, Greg, you know this. They've drafted some defensive players. This is a better defensive team. And with Aaron Rodgers on the field healthy, he wins the NFC North. And they are definitely in the NFC a contender to beat.
Even over your Lions, wow. So I've been comparing Aaron Rodgers to LeBron for the last couple years. I've done it on the Colin Cowherd show. People love the analogy. And it even lines up more given what LeBron went through last year with the injuries and Aaron Rodgers did as well. You guys realize in the NFL now, everybody's excited over the young new quarterbacks like Carson Wentz, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers is like the forgotten guy all of a sudden. Again, we're 2016, as you alluded to. This guy went to the NFC title game, lost to the Falcons, and it wasn't his fault. The defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
You got his numbers from that year? 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 104 quarterback.
He's the forgotten man. Aaron Rodgers is the forgotten man. So does he have something to prove? I think internally he wants to show everybody, guys, you can get excited about Mahomes and Sam Darnold and Baker and all these guys. I'm still the most talented quarterback in the NFL. And I've argued this, and I will. Brady is the winningest, right? Aaron Rodgers is the most talented. And as long as he is healthy, something that has been a problem, because as I said, last 6 years, he's missed 16 games due to injury. Drew Brees, in the last 15 years, has missed 1 game due to injury. Tom Brady, in the last 10 years, has missed 0 games due to injury. Aaron Rodgers has to stay healthy. Now, again, that's something you said is out of his control, but on some level, he's going to have to say, hey, I can't outrun Anthony Barr and try to make a play here. He's got something to prove from a perspective of, I can still play at 35 years old and be an elite quarterback. I've just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I don't like when people talk about Aaron Rodgers is, you mentioned it a little bit, comparing him to LeBron James. Because the bar is already set so high, you start to poke and see everything that they do that he doesn't do.
He's got to win a Super Bowl.
Right. So, like, even last year, the throwaways. When did we ever start tracking throwaways?
Right. But it's a bad thing now instead of taking a sack or having your collarbone broken.
When early in his career, when he held the ball too long,
that was a criticism.
It was like, you got to get rid of it. Throw it away. Now he's older and he understands, you know what, I'm not going to take that extra hit. I'm not going to even put the ball in harm's way. I'm just going to throw it away. Now it's a knock there. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Greg, you've been one to criticize Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I have been. Never about his play. It's never been about his play. It's always been about things outside of his play. That's why I say the one thing he does have to prove, and I will stick to this, is his relationship building skills.
Uh-oh.
Can he foster that relationship? Can he sustain that relationship? Can it work? And if it does work, which I believe that there is potential that it could, specifically this year, he could be electrifying. We're talking about a guy that's number one, a first ballot Hall of Famer who's never thrown for a 5,000-yard season. And a lot of that had to do with just the parameters that were around him and in the offensive
and the play
scheme.
calling, absolutely.
So now you allow him to just unleash who he is and just run with this offense with a Matt LaFleur and say, okay, coach, let me do what I do. You sprinkle a little bit in, and let's see where we take this.
Coach, sprinkle a little bit in. I got
absolutely is going to be sprinkled a little bit in.
And it should be just a little bit.
That's gonna be, that's,
Matt LaFleur is not going to come in and decide that a first-time head coach that he's running everything and he's going to dictate what Aaron Rodgers. That would make no sense to anybody. So it's got to be work with a Hall of Fame quarterback that you have, right, and try to add to help him out a little bit. But to your point, I mean, they have wide receivers as running backs. Just think about what they've had in Green Bay for a long time. I witnessed plenty of games in Detroit where they ran the ball more than they passed. And I was used to go, what is this? You know, like I couldn't figure it out, and it would wind up being a Lions win because they wouldn't let Aaron Rodgers throw the ball. I don't think we're going to see that anymore. No.
Yeah. No mercy. At the age of 42, Tom Brady has shown very few signs of slowing down.
Are you
Rob
sure?
Parker's guy, the 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, still says he wants to play until he is 45. He's under contract for 2 more seasons in New England. Now, Chris Collinsworth joined Colin Cowherd on The Herd yesterday and admitted something about the aging quarterback. Take a listen.
I don't think you get to 40, whatever he is, 1.5, 42 years old, and you don't decline in some way. I mean, Tom Brady used to be able to throw a ball about as far as anybody in the league. So has he declined? Of course he has. I mean, he's not, he's not that age. But if you're declining and winning Super Bowls, that's pretty good, right?
All right, Chris.
I love Chris
Wait,
Collinsworth.
hold on. How do we tee up Rob for this?
No, what?
We're just going to let him go because we know his relationship with Tom Brady.
I have no relationship with
Is he sliding into your
Tom
Twitter
Brady.
DMs at this point?
No.
Rob, is Tom Brady really declining?
Absolutely. Chris Collinsworth is 100% right. And look, when you win a Super Bowl, it covers up all the warts. Tom Brady had more warts than a witch last year, if you were honest and took a deep look at his skin, okay? Seriously, can I just give you some numbers? First half of the year, 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 99 passer rating. Second half, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a 91% passer rating. Tom Brady, and as you want to look at the last 3 years as well, all the numbers are going down, and I get it. He's older, and the only reason that the narrative is different is because Tom Brady hitched his wagon on a defense that beat the Rams. Tom Brady didn't throw a touchdown. He had an interception. He had a fumble. He had an awful Super Bowl game.
His worst Super Bowl of his 9 Super Bowls.
Okay,
right?
but it was bad.
It was, yeah.
He's won 2 Super Bowls now, Jason, where he's thrown a total of 1 touchdown. His very first one and the last one.
He's won 2 Super Bowls with 1 touchdown.
I'm just saying. Okay. So if they would have lost and they only scored 3 points or whatever it was, 13 points in Tom Brady, the narrative would be totally different. We saw Tom Brady earlier last year where he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds in Pittsburgh. He couldn't even have enough mustard on it to get it out of bounds.
I knew that was
it was intercepted. It was true. So let's just be honest. Tom Brady can talk about wanting to play till he's 45. I get it. When you win, people are more apt to give you the benefit of the doubt. If this was anybody else and Tom Brady didn't win, or Tom Brady wasn't lucky enough to get the Falcons to choke and for Seattle to throw a bad interception at the goal line, you would be looking at it totally different. Tom Brady has declined. Let's just face the facts. It doesn't mean he's off or he can't play and he's not a good quarterback, but he's not as great as people make him out to be.
Rob, I agree with you.
What?
I do agree with
What? Yeah, he's joking, right? You're
Tom Brady is definitely declining, but he's not falling off a cliff by any stretch
Didn't
of
you
the
see the
imagination.
video of him and his daughter? I'm telling you, he fell off the cliff.
He
jumping off a
purposely
cliff.
jumped
Oh,
off
okay.
the cliff. But when I look at Tom Brady, I look at someone who understands what he's up against. Now, he understands he's getting older, so now I have to beat you in different ways. I'm not going to make, as Chris Collinsworth alluded to, I'm not going to be able to make those throws that I once did and throw the ball 50, 60, 70 yards down the field 10-plus times a game. That's not my style. What I'm going to beat you with is my savviness and my mental sharpness. So I'm going to see and dissect the defense, know where I need to go, have my guys in the position that they need to be in, and put the ball on the money. Now, what the New England Patriots have done that I completely applaud them for is they've strategically placed him in a situation now where he doesn't have to bear the load. So you acquire a running back and you say, here, you know what, we're going to allow you to run the ball and rush the ball a lot more. When you look at their rushing attempts, their rushing attempts in 2017, 448 rushing attempts. Their rushing attempts last year, 478. They were 5th in the NFL in rushing in 2018. They weren't even in the top 10 in 2017. So when you look at those dynamics, you're going to get a different type of Tom Brady, a Tom Brady that's not going to be called upon to win the game from the first quarter to the fourth. No, we need you to be as sharp as you can be at the waning moments of the game. This is how it's played when you get up in age. When we look at, in the National Basketball Association, the older guys, when do we want you the most fresh? We want you the freshest in the playoffs. You look at a guy like Iguodala for the Golden State Warriors. Didn't play a lot in the regular season, but when it came to the playoffs, who was on the court all the time? Andre Iguodala, because we know he provides a value that we can't expend in the regular season. So what am I saying about Tom Brady? We know what you provide us. We don't need you to be the Tom Brady of 2010, 11, 12, all these Super Bowl MVPs and league MVPs. We don't even need that. We need you to be that guy when it's the clutch time of the game, 2 minutes left. Can you pull it out for us? Yes, I can, Coach. I'm your guy.
Boy, Greg, one of the best little speeches you've made this week. I got to applaud you, Greg, and I agree largely with that. I disagree that decline is the right word here, gentlemen.
Why? The numbers say it.
I'm going to tell you. I do believe, as Greg said, they are pivoting from a Tom Brady-led passing attack with Gronk, with the dual tight ends, with Randy Moss, and they're reinventing themselves as a run team, meaning fewer passes for Brady, easier passes. That's why I believe his QBR is down. His quarterback passer rating is down. Some of the lowest in 5 years, but it's not because he's declining. It's because they're reinventing themselves.
No, it's because that they know that he can't make those passes
He can still make them. Rob,
no,
they have different players. They're reinventing themselves. You know Madonna, the singer, reinvented herself from the 80s to the 90s. She's pivoted. In business, this happens all the time. I mentioned Drake earlier this week. He was like a teen idol on one of these Nickelodeon shows. He's now a rapper. People change and reinvent themselves. That's what Brady's doing. He's no longer throwing deep bombs to Randy Moss. He doesn't have Gronk in the seam. He's going to become a run team. He will definitely continue to play and succeed with the Patriots.
The reason why guys like Tom Brady continue to play at a high level and be as consistent and just have the longevity is because of what Jason is talking about. And I'm surprised that I'm agreeing with Jason right now. But
see, now your compliment to me, I don't want. I'm done.
He's rejecting that.
Their ability to not conform, but to reinvent themselves to a certain degree. When you look at guys like Larry Fitzgerald, who went from one of the elite wide receivers in all of the National Football League to now he's pretty much a hybrid tight end, he's learned to reinvent himself, which is why he's still consistently productive and an impact player, not because he's outside the numbers and he's doing the same things that we saw him doing early in his career. No, he's understanding that times change. My body changes. Tom Brady, for you to sit here and say that he can't make those throws, that is completely false.
I saw
he can make all the throws.
No, he can't. Go watch that game in Pittsburgh. Go watch it.
He can make all the throws.
When have you seen Tom Brady throw
the Super Bowl, the pass to Gronk, the most important play in the Super Bowl, and he nailed it.
He missed so many throws in that Super Bowl.
Somebody hit the most important one.
He misses throws now. That play in Pittsburgh, to me, I wish we had the video.
We do have the video. They've been showing it on a loop here because they love clowning Tom Brady.
No, it's not, but I'm saying
here it is right here, Rob.
That was one of those where he's trying to get the ball out of bounds.
He's off his back foot.
He can't even throw it out of bounds.
Off his back foot.
He can't throw it out of bounds. Tom Brady in the past would be able to do that. I get it. As you get old, you want to make adjustments. I'm telling you, Bill Belichick knows what he's working with. He's working with a 42-year-old who can't do it. Thank goodness for Sony Michel. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't win a Super Bowl. No. They wouldn't.
You know why?
You know who's reinventing themselves? It's Rob Parker. We should show the picture of you losing 30 pounds, working out, reinventing yourself at 52 years old.
You know why I can't give you a lot of credit on that particular play? Because he's using his brain as well. He's being strategically smart as well.
So he wanted to throw a pick?
No, he didn't want to throw the pick, but he understands I have to get it in the vicinity of one of my players or I'm going to lose a down.
Intentional grounding.
It's going to be intentional grounding. He could have easily threw it straight to the sideline, but that's not what smart quarterbacks do. When you think about plays like that, you're throwing off your back foot, you have a guy draping over you, you're trying to get the ball out of bounds, but young quarterbacks make the mistake of just throwing it straight to the sideline and then losing a down. Tom Brady is at the mentality of, you know what, I know the situation, I know what needs to be done.
So you rather give up the football than a down. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, they're inside the 10-yard line. That's pretty much
But you want to give up the football? Tom Brady wanted to give up the
No,
football?
nobody wants to give up the football, but I would rather take that than have an intentional. Well, I wouldn't rather take that.
Okay.
I can't.
The narrative on Tom Brady would be totally different if they lost the Super Bowl. And I get it. You guys love it. It's all about the Super Bowl, no matter whether he contributes or not. Everybody talks about the 500 yards he threw. Is it about yards or is it about points? Tom Brady left points on the field against Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. He also coughed up the football in the final 2.5 minutes that cost him the game.
I mean, the defense gave up 35 points to Nick Foles. Stop. Rob,
but that doesn't mean that Tom Brady didn't leave points on the field.
AFC title game. I can't believe.
What did you want him to do?
I can't believe the producers don't have video from the AFC title game. Chiefs, Patriots, okay?
Overtime.
Close game. What happens in overtime, Rob? Tom Brady, when the Chiefs know exactly what's coming.
Tom Brady threw a game-losing interception, and Ford was off.
Fourth quarter. Yes, that happened.
Did that not happen?
What happened in overtime? Tell me.
But did
Tom
that
Brady
not happen?
made every
it's the
damn
same thing
pass
I'm talking
right
about.
on the spot, down the field, buzzsaw.
If Ford is not offsides, and that's the way that game ends, people aren't talking about Tom Brady at 42 years old the same way.
Rob,
he was that close to coughing up the game. Let's just be honest.
His world has too many ifs.
Close.
If. Let's just deal in reality and facts. What happened in the AFC title game in overtime? Just break down every play. Tom down the field. We're going to the slot. We're going in the seam. The Chiefs knew what was coming, and they couldn't stop Brady. Every point, pinpoint accuracy, every pass. It was magnificent. You're just watching that.
Do you know the coach on the other sideline was? Andy Reid?
Yeah.
You know how many big games he's won?
So we're turning the tables.
I mean,
it's not about Brady. It's about Andy Reid.
Are you shocked that Andy Reid couldn't win a big game? What a shocker. That's his middle name.
You know I'm a New Yorker who loves the Jets, and I'm praising Tom Brady because that's the right thing to do here. He is greatness personified. The guy is amazing.
And the New England Patriots understand we don't have a guy to replace this man right now.
Because they blew it.
We have to make sure we protect all of what he is and how great we know he can be for us, but we need to do that in a matter of making sure he can be that guy in the moments we need him to be that guy. You look at just his sacks. His sacks in 2017, he got sacked 35 times versus 21 times this past year. You got to make sure, you got to know we can't allow him to get not only sacked, but quarterback hits. They have to go down. You have to protect the guy.
That's all because the dinking and dunking they do now because they know that.
It's effective.
My favorite moment from this segment was where Rob said Tom Brady has won 2 Super Bowls where he only only threw a touchdown pass. Do we have a list of how many guys would
just
kill to win 2 Super Bowls, Rob?
But I'm just saying he gets all the credit as if it's always about Tom
Doesn't
Brady.
always. I mean,
yes,
listen,
he does.
Belichick
Yes, he
gets a
does.
lion's share of the
No,
credit.
it's always about Tom Brady.
Because he's been doing it for so long.
They couldn't even fake and give him the MVP this past year, even though you said he made all the throws that needed to be made in the fourth quarter. They still did. No, I'm talking about in the Super Bowl, the pass to Gronk, right? But they even couldn't fudge it and give Tom Brady the MVP. That's how poorly he played.
No, he wasn't
right?
great. He wasn't great in the game. But Jared Goff, by the way, young
star
on the other side.
I've been
he got to make one pass to Brandon Cooks and couldn't
I've been
deliver.
painting this scenario for years now. I'm going to be right this year.
Eventually, you will be right.
Hey, how about this?
Right.
We should make a deal. He has to retire this Brady take if the Patriots win the Super Bowl.
No, that ain't happening.
Even if they win it, whatever. All right, folks. Did the Clippers and Ty Lue just pull the ultimate troll job on Rob Parker's second best friend, LeBron?
What?
That's next.
No mercy.
Ty Lue is headed to Los Angeles, but not to be reunited with LeBron. Lue will reportedly be named Doc Rivers' top assistant with the Clippers. Lue was lowballed by the Lakers when they were negotiating to make him their head coach earlier this summer. Lue won a title in Cleveland with LeBron in 2016, but he is also very familiar with Doc Rivers, having been on Doc's staff twice before. All right, folks, this one could get ugly. Rob, what do you make of the Clippers and Ty Lue?
I love this move 100%.
Of course you do.
I do. First of all, the Lakers totally mishandled this. Ty Lue is a former Laker, a pedigree with a championship and had success with LeBron. It was just about dollars. They offered him a measly 3-year contract for a guy who's won a championship. And LeBron is in his final 3 years, roughly, so you don't want to waste time with him getting adjusted to some other coach who's never won, never been there, never done that. It was a perfect layup for them. And I don't blame Ty Lue for not taking this offer. Luke Walton just got a 5-year deal in Sacramento, coming off 3 straight years of not making the playoffs, and he got 5 years, but the Lakers didn't want to pay him. And I love what the Clippers have done. This is not just some rub it in your face. This is a guy who's been up close and personal against LeBron James, who's going to be a rival in the Western Conference. Going to be the difference between the Lakers and Clippers. Maybe this little edge can help them. Also, he's been on, as you mentioned earlier, he's been on Doc Rivers' staff before. So they're comfortable with each other. You got a championship caliber top assistant to go with the head coach who's won a championship in Doc Rivers. I love everything about it. I think it makes total sense. And I think the Lakers will rue the day that they passed over Ty Lue because Ty Lue, to me, made 100% sense of being the Lakers head coach.
Yeah, I don't mind this at all, and I don't think it's a troll job by the Clippers, not even in a little bit, because, again, as you mentioned, like, he's been on Doc Rivers' staff when in Boston and with the Clippers before even joining the Cleveland Cavaliers and taking that head coach job. One thing I do like about it and why I think it was a great hire is because you do have a guy who's been with LeBron James, who understands what makes him tick, who understands how he practices, how he's going to approach the games.
How he doesn't play defense. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not going that far. And how he can then now inform elite players as like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard of how they can attack this guy and what he's going to present as problematic for them. Like, this isn't a hire as if he hasn't been proven to where he's had a track record of losing and underperforming. He's had success at the head coach level as an assistant coach. He's in high regard in the National Basketball Association. So you can't slight it and say it's just a slap in the face to the Lakers. No, this is a great hire. It probably has a lot to do with the fact that what he provides is a lot of intel regarding a guy that they're going to face in the Western Conference all the way through, probably in the final.
And some people said, hey, wait a minute. Why would he take that job? That's beneath him. He was a head coach. He won a championship. At some point, you got to get back out there, right? People forget about you. You stay on the sidelines too long. Number two, what happens to guys who are on winning teams and winning
They get other
opportunities, and if he could be on this team, and the Clippers win the championship, which I believe they will, they win the championship. When you look at Ty Lue, totally different, and be like he was on Doc's staff, and when we want to give him an opportunity to be our head coach. I think it's a smart move.
That's incredible. The same way LeBron carried Ty Lue to a title and got him a look with the Lakers. Maybe Kawhi can help Ty Lue get another job. Guys, you're way wrong on this. I'm sorry. So besides the Lakers and Cavs, there were 4 other NBA head coach openings this summer. How many of them called Ty Lue? Because he's such a great coach and he's got a championship. How many of them called him? 0! Nobody called Ty Lue. Not in demand in the least. The Suns, Memphis. These are not even good franchises.
Name the guys that they hired.
Yeah, I'll give you them. Taylor Jenkins. Somebody named Taylor Jenkins.
Luke
Walton to the Kings. Luke Walton couldn't win jack squat.
Yeah, because they don't want to.
And he got a head coaching job with the Kings.
But they don't want to pay just because they hired him as head coach.
Monty Williams.
They don't have to pay those guys a lot of money.
And then Saunders in Minnesota. Guys, you're way wrong on here. Ty Lue, very nice man. I got to be careful what I say. A lot of the Clippers and Lakers work out at my gym and my
Stop all that.
Basketball.
Give your real opinion.
And I see a lot of these guys there. The real opinion is this is not a great hire. This is poking the bear. This is the Clippers trying to be relevant. Hey, look at us. We're trolling. We're trolling the Lakers. We stole Kawhi from LeBron. They tried to get him. Now we're going to steal Ty Lue, LeBron's guy, as head coach. The Lakers didn't totally botch Ty Lue. I think they messed it up, and you know why? Because they told Ty, we're not only going to lowball you, but we're going to pick your assistant coaches. Ty Lue said,
so you're all in on Frank Vogel, right?
I'm not all in on Frank Vogel.
Can you tell me about the parade Frank Vogel had? Where was that?
Frank Vogel had a parade?
No,
I was unaware
I'm
of that.
asking.
What, Ty Lue had a parade?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did? Why? Because LeBron got him a title?
Because Cleveland won a championship for the first time in 52 years.
Oh, give me a break. That had nothing to do with Ty Lue.
Stop it.
Not a darn thing.
You can't do it that way. You know why?
Yeah, hold on. No, you gave Kyrie Irving the credit for hitting the game-winning shot. No, but you gave LeBron no credit.
No, but you can't
a couple days ago on this show,
my only thing is you can't do it that way. If a guy is a coach and they don't win, he gets blamed. If he's the coach, you got to give him some credit. I don't have to say it's 100% of the credit, but Ty Lue was the coach of that. Everybody doesn't win, even when they have talent. So I'm sorry.
Okay, how about
I've seen guys with good talent not win anything.
What's the name of the Miami Heat basketball coach?
Who, Eric Spoelstra?
Yeah, Eric Spoelstra. He was a video coordinator, wins a bunch of titles with LeBron. I'm not bashing Spoelstra.
Yes, you are.
I didn't even say it. I didn't make my point. What has he done since LeBron left? That's what I thought. Guys, I'm just saying, LeBron is such a generational talent, as a phrase of the show, that it's so tough to say how good of a coach Lue is. LeBron was incredible and transcendent in Miami with Wade and Bosh.
LeBron lost 6 championships.
We don't know how good Spoelstra is. We don't know how good Ty Lue is. To say this is a great hire is preposterous.
The reason why you can say he was a great coach with LeBron, because he made it work. Like, it's no different. You just said you compared Aaron Rodgers to LeBron James. It's not solely on Aaron Rodgers. It's more on Matt LaFleur to conform and to make it work, because we know what Aaron Rodgers is going to provide on the football field. We know what LeBron James is going to provide. You said something that just jumped out to me. This is the Clippers trying to make themselves relevant.
Yeah.
What? This was a playoff team before Kawhi.
Thank you.
Before Paul, before all these acquisitions.
Wait, the Clippers are relevant before this?
They were relevant, and none of us up here, after losing Tobias Harris, thought that they were going to even make the playoffs.
And they made the playoffs. And they went to Golden State with a healthy Durant and won 2 playoff games.
Woo! That makes them relevant? 2 playoff wins against the Warriors?
With no stars.
I mean, it was impressive, but relevant.
Yes.
If that's the bar for relevancy, you guys need to raise the bar.
They made the playoffs, and I'm a LeBron guy, but the Lakers didn't make the playoffs.
Thank you. And, Greg, when it came time, Paul George, who didn't want to come to the Lakers a year ago, wanted to come to the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard, the biggest prize in free agency, decided, I'm going to the Clippers. It was laid up for him to go to the Lakers, have less of a workload. He didn't have to take a discount money-wise, and he had Anthony Davis. It was laid out for him, and he still chose to go to the Clippers. Do not poo-poo what they have going with the Clippers.
They do. They have something going. Finally, they finally have relevancy because they need it. They're desperate in a town where the Rams just went to the Super Bowl. The LA Kings are good all the time. A couple good soccer teams here. The Lakers have LeBron. The Clippers are desperate to be relevant in LA, to crowbar their way into the market. That's why they're doing stuff like, let's get Ty Lue. People are going to talk about it on shows like this. If they go out and hire Joe Smith to be an assistant coach,
Rob, you mentioned something about coaches staying out too long and not being relevant and then being forgotten about. I give Ty Lue a lot of credit for getting off the coaching high horse and just thinking the only job that is for me is a head coaching job. Yep. That's the problem with a lot of head coaches. They think they're just only a head coach, and so they're not going to come down and become assistant coach any longer. This is a great opportunity for Ty Lue to stay with a guy, to get back with the guy that he had already been with in Doc Rivers on his staff. He understands how he operates. Doc Rivers knows what he provides. It is a great fit, and now it just so happened you coach the best player in the NBA in LeBron James, and you can inform Kawhi Leonard, these defensive-minded guys, two-way players, Paul George, all these, on how he goes about his work year in and year.
I totally that's so overblown. Hold on.
It's not.
Kawhi Leonard beat LeBron head-to-head in the finals. Paul George got stomped out by LeBron twice in the Eastern Conference Finals back when he was with Indiana. I don't know what Ty Lue's going to bring to the table about LeBron that the Clippers don't already know. Doc Rivers has been facing LeBron in the East for many years when he was with the Celtics. I just think this is overblown, and I don't want to bash Ty Lue.
It's different when you practice with it versus. It's different from playing against an opponent and actually seeing how they work every single day and building and strategically trying to defend them in practice and set up plays for them where they like the ball, it's completely different when you're practicing with someone versus them being an opponent and watching the film.
And Greg, your point is excellent. From this standpoint, Jason, it's the same difference between scouting a team from the outside and a player who was just in that locker room comes in, Greg, and gives you, am I right?
All the intel.
All intel that went on behind the scenes. You can scout all day. It ain't the same.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Well, they should have hired Anthony Davis as former head coach. I mean, Anthony Davis is going to tear up the league next year. They should have brought him in because I guess they're desperate, the Clippers. Yeah. I mean, you know what this is? Nah, I shouldn't even say that. Anyways, is it crazy to call Kyler Murray a generational talent? Eric Mangini, the foil to Rob Parker.
What?
He gives us his answer next.
No mercy.
Cardinals rookie Kyler Murray steps back on the field tonight against the Raiders in his second preseason game. Murray was 6 for 7 for 44 yards on just one series in his debut last week. Cardinals GM Steve Keim obviously thinks highly of the rookie, taking him number 1 overall and trading away the previous year's 10th overall pick, Josh Rosen. Keim told The Ringer, taking this guy number 1, I took a lot of grief for that. You have to make the tough decisions and avoid the outside noise. Why'd you give up on this guy? Why'd you trade this guy? It's unprecedented. I took Rosen in the top 10. I just felt Murray was a generational talent I just couldn't pass up. We're now joined by FS1 NFL analyst Eric Mangini, a.k.a. the People's Champion. Eric, is it crazy to call Kyler Murray?
Over here for? Don't be looking over here for.
A generational talent. A generational talent for Kyler Murray. Come on, this is overboard, Eric.
Yeah, it is overboard, and that term is thrown out so much now that it's losing any sort of real meaning. And I understand why he says it, because he had to move on from a head coach. He had to move on from a quarterback that he took in the top 10, that he gave up draft capital for. Changing a coaching staff is a huge amount of money. Getting rid of a quarterback like that, it's not the money it used to be, but it's still a significant amount of money. Plus, again, what you lost in the potential picks that you could have brought in. So how do you justify that with ownership? How do you justify that with the people that are making decisions on whether or not you should be there anymore? And the way you do that is saying, okay, this is a unique opportunity that we have. And the reason we need to change head coaches is because this head coach gives this player the best chance to be successful. So I understand why it's positioned that way. I like a lot of things about Kyler Murray. I thought that in his first game, he did some of the things that I saw in college that I really liked. Specifically, he's got a lot of poise in the pocket. So a lot of running quarterbacks, their answer is with their feet. So when they feel a little bit of heat, they always go to their feet as the first answer. Kyler has great poise in the pocket. He's willing to let things unfold, go to the second read. To me, that part I really like about him.
What don't you like?
I like the fact that, well, there's a difference between I like something about a guy and he's a generational talent. So what is a generational talent anyways? Is that once every 10 years, once every 12 years? And what is Tom Brady then? Is he like what generation does he apply to?
Millennial talent. Right?
You know, so yeah, there are things that he did really positively in this first game, but to give anybody that moniker right off the bat, I also think is unfair to the player.
That was the other part we're going to ask is he's putting all of that because Steve Keim, this is his job. This is not only just with the Cardinals, but if this goes south, probably he'll never get another opportunity to be a GM again because of all the mistakes that have lined up. So he has to be all in, put all the chips in, tell everybody so that if it does work out, he'll be able to beat on his chest and say, see, I knew what I was doing and whatnot. But it does add added pressure to Kyler Murray that he has to live up to this tag, especially on a bad team with not the greatest offensive line. And what if he struggles? We saw Josh Rosen couldn't even, really struggle because the team wasn't good.
When you say things like that, there is a selfish element to that. You're saying it for you. You're not saying it for the player, because when you add expectations to players, and look, he's already got expectations because he's #1 overall draft pick, but you don't have to add to that pressure. And it's the same thing you're seeing in Cleveland. They keep adding the pressure, the expectations, and those things don't help. Expectations, that's real. And that has a real effect on your opponent. That has a real effect on the way that you evaluate performances. And to add pressure to situations instead of take it off a young guy, to me, is not the greatest decision.
Yeah, he is a generational talent. I'm going to stick with Keim here.
Go ahead and stick with it.
I am, because what I've seen out of this young man tells me nothing otherwise, period.
You mean 17 college starts?
You can say 17 college starts all you want, but in those starts, when I've seen him perform, he has produced at a high magnitude and a high level. And I get it. Everyone wants to say it's going to put pressure on the player. But let me tell you from a player's perspective, when you have an endorsement like that from your general manager, from your head coach, from your ownership, from upstairs, as we like to look at it, in the locker room, you love that. I love that because now I can just be me. I don't have to, whether I live up to that or not, that's not pressure on me. You said it, I didn't say it. I'm going to be who I am.
Fans don't look at it like that.
I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about the player, because he's the one that has to go out there. So for Kyler Murray,
if he throws 3 picks in his first game and is awful, you can't tell me that fans aren't going to look and go, wait a minute.
I thought
you told me he was generational. That's not going to come down on the player?
No, it's one game. No. That's the thing. Everything that he does is already going to be highly scrutinized if it's not great. So added pressure, no pressure, he has pressure. He has pressure, and it's all about the player. You have to understand, and I get it, applying or putting additional pressure on a lot of players. Not all players can handle it. Not every player is like a LeBron James that can handle the throne and being endorsed as the greatest player in the next coming of Michael Jordan and all of those things. And Baker Mayfield being a player that you can endorse and say all these great, highly things about. But the personality of the player tells me that I can do that. The personality of Kyler Murray, for all the right reasons, and again, I'm not defending Steve Keim here, because he has definitely shown a pattern of inconsistency.
So why are you buying into it when his track record is so bad?
Because of the player and what I know he can be and what I've seen him do already. And Coach has alluded to it. The fact that he doesn't get happy feet and want to run right away, he has that poise, he has that posture of a guy that's been in that backfield behind that offensive line in that pocket and has that presence. I love that, because it's going to tell his guys that, look, I'm not trying to do this on my own. I need you, but when I don't have you, I definitely can be something special.
But being a rookie is hard, and that transition is real, and we don't give those guys enough credit. Now, being a rookie first-round draft pick, #1 overall, is even harder. But there's all kinds of things that you have to deal with. A new system, new coaching staff, and I know there's some continuity with the system, a new organization. Where's the grocery store? All the things that you take for granted.
You need the grocery store?
All the things that you take for granted, these guys are going through that whole process. And as a coach and as an organization, as a general manager, there's a lot of rocks that those guys are carrying. And your job is to take some of those rocks and help them carry the load. Your job is not to take some off the pile and put it back onto the player. And that's my only point is if you can make it easier for him and help him with that transition and take a little bit of the pressure off, not saying he can't handle it, but my job is to make it easier for you, not harder for you as you navigate through this really difficult time.
So, Eric, Rob mentioned the 17 starts for Kyler Murray in college. Bill Parcells, old school guy, had said always, hey, you need 30-plus starts. Russell Wilson, 46 coming out as a small quarterback. Baker Mayfield, also 46 college starts. I'm curious, do you think any of the reason he's calling him generational is because the body of work is so tiny and he was so dominant in 1 year?
No, I think he's calling him generational because you've got to justify doing what you did. I mean, like,
100%.
How else do you make that decision to blow up a coaching staff, blow up a top 10 pick who's a quarterback, to move on from that and start over with all the money, with all the things that go into that, without saying, this is such a unique opportunity, it was too good to pass up. In terms of how many starts a guy has to have or doesn't have to have, if anybody has figured out this quarterback puzzle, they would be a billionaire. Yeah. And nobody's figured it out. That's why Tom Brady goes in the 6th round. That's why guys get drafted late in the 1st instead of where they should be drafted. And to have one criteria, I wish there was one, and I wish I had figured it out, and so does everybody else. But there's not just one thing that says, this is the predictor of quarterback success.
What do you expect from Kyler Murray's first year? I mean, is that team good enough for him? Is that offensive line good enough? Do you expect him?
It's hard to say because how well are they going to be able to run the ball? How well are they going to be able to support him that way? And you hear about the air raid offense and look, there's new trends that come in all the time. I mean, Chip Kelly came in. He was going to reinvent football. He's back in college football. There's all these guys. It was the run and shoot. It was the K-gun. In defense, it was zone blitzes. Right. It was the 46. So these concepts come into the NFL, and then initially there may be a little bit of a surge. Then a lot of smart people look at it. They figure it out, and it just becomes part of the fabric of the league. So I don't think that's going to change it. That first series, how did it end? It ended with a sack. But the two defensive ends were off the ball so quickly in the backfield so quickly that it does concern you about he had no chance. He had no chance on that play. So how many plays are there going to be where he has no chance, and how many plays are there going to be where he truly gets an ability to affect
That's
things?
a great point because Nick Foles with Chip Kelly was lights out and then kind of regressed. RG3 in Washington had a great rookie year we talked about. But as the expectations go for the Cardinals, I mean, if they do win 3 games, what are we to make of Kyler Murray? Given Jared Goff was, I believe, 0-7 with the Rams, has rebounded fine.
He was awful.
But guess what? Jared Goff got a new coach. I don't think Kingsbury's getting booted in 1 year.
No, but when you do what you did and you make the statements that you make, is 3 wins the bar? If you're the owner of the Cardinals, what's your bar? When you've spent a lot of money, you've done a lot of things to put yourself in this position. When you met in the offseason and you decided to go this route, I'm sure there was some criteria set as to we need to hit these benchmarks.
We need to win 7 games
now,
or whatever it is.
Now, look, the really good owners in my mind have benchmarks that are outside of just wins because you've got to be able to look at, are we improving?
Yes.
They may not have enough, but are we improving?
The growth.
Are the players improving? Is the team improving? So if you're willing to look at growth and have that patience, that has value as well.
I agree with that 100%. I have kids, and I tell them all the time, with even their sports, if I don't see growth and I see wins, I'm still a little airy about the situation. But if I see growth and I don't see wins, I'm more prone to stick with something because there's growth. Anytime there's growth, you can work with it. And in this situation, Yeah, a lot of pressure is going to be put on Kyler Murray because this is a bad football team. And it's been a bad football team for some time now, specifically surrounding the quarterback position. And so when you remove a guy like Josh Rosen and you already have a very poor offensive line, I could see why this is so appealing. A Kyler Murray, obviously with Cliff Kingsbury and knowing the system works, but you feel like, well, he can make the offensive line better, or he can at least show that the offensive line isn't as bad or isn't as weak, or kind of put a Band-Aid on it, if you will, because of his escapability, but yet his ability to extend plays and still look down the field and make special things happen. That's why you make a move like this.
Only way I'll push back on the growth thing, and that sounds good and in a perfect world, but that's not where we are. Pro sports has a short menu. It's wins and losses, and if you don't win enough, you're going to get fired. I don't care who you are. I don't care. That's what it's about, because you're trying to sell tickets. There's all kinds of stuff that goes in it financially. There are no more 5-year plans. There used to be, Eric, where people say, okay, we got 5 years, we'll draft our quarterback, we'll do this, we'll do that. No, if you don't win in a couple of years, you got to get somebody else.
Rob, there is this element of, and you sit with owners and they want you to cook a turkey, but they want you to cook it in a microwave. Okay, but if you want to build an organization that has the ability to compete for a championship year in and year out, it's not easy, and it takes continuity. And the great organizations have continuity, and the ones that have continuity prey on all the other organizations that are constantly transitioning and getting rid of good players, and they're throwing out a bunch of really good players. So those established places just bring them in, and are constantly have a competitive edge. So there has to be, and most owners are successful businessmen, there has to be a global vision of what the team is going to look like. So if you just say, you got to win in 1 year, oh, okay, you're probably going to be.
I didn't say 1 year, but
you're pretty much a 1 year guy, right?
I was going to ask you, how does a turkey taste in a microwave? I'm sure you've done it.
Yeah, it tastes exactly how you'd think it would taste, Rob. And as culinary an expert as you are, it tastes probably how you think it tastes.
It almost sounds like he's talking about your Patriots there, the great organization.
Oh, please,
with
stop
the
it.
Global
They went 10
view.
years without winning. Everybody acts like they've won every year.
Eric, we'll give you the final word on Rob Parker bashing the Patriots.
Look, we've been through this enough. This is like a beat down on a treadmill, you know.
What?
It just keeps going and going. And I'll be back tomorrow. Just
is that right?
Thank you. All right,
we'll
Coach.
tie it up and send you home.
Thanks a lot. We will see you tomorrow, indeed. Are the Cowboys' issues too much to overcome? Former All-Pro Kyle Turley joins us next to discuss.
No mercy.
Another day goes by and still no deal for Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, or Ezekiel Elliott. Jerry Jones says he wants to keep his young core together and doesn't want to lose any of his stars. Jerry, however, does have full faith in Zeke staying in shape despite holding out and missing camp. Jerry told reporters he expects Zeke to hit the ground running in Week 1. We're now joined by former All-Pro offensive lineman Kyle Turley. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good to be with you.
Great to have you. What do you make of this mess that is the Cowboys?
It's the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
It wouldn't be the Cowboys if it wasn't a mess, coming into the season, I don't think.
How about who do they need the most on that Cowboys team? People talk about Dak or Zeke. The offense is set up for the run. Mm-hmm. How important is Ezekiel Elliott to that team and what they're trying to do, which is get to a Super Bowl?
I grew up a Cowboys fan because of Tony Dorsett. The Cowboys have a pedigree of running backs and understanding the importance of that. So I would assume that this would come together here a lot sooner than now, especially without two-a-days anymore, all these things, the discussions about, whether or not you're going to be in shape. And if you're down in Cabo, I'm sorry, I was in and out of there for about 10 years. You're not getting in shape. You're doing a lot of partying too. There's a lot of distractions. And so hopefully they just, get down there in Texas like the Cowboys should, get that team rounded up, if you will.
Now, as a former lineman, much has been made of the Cowboys' offensive lines. Tremendous. It's awesome. Dak was sacked 56 times last year, second most in the league. I don't know. Do you think there is an issue with Dak? The traditional stats say he's fine, he's good, he's right there with Carson Wentz. Some of the advanced metrics say he's not nearly as good. Your thoughts on Dak Prescott being a $30 million quarterback?
Well, I mean, he's as good a $30 million quarterback as anybody else right now. You know, I mean, the season comes and the season goes. Injuries happen. There'll be a lot of high-paid guys that go down. You know, money spent, money, earned and wasted. It's the National Football League. Injuries happen. He's a guy who has proven himself to have a worth. And the more growth you get in this league, the better you get. So the chance in rolling that dice with something else is not happening. That's for sure.
Yeah, for me, when I look at the Dallas Cowboys and I listen to what Jerry Jones is saying now, it's specifically about Ezekiel Elliott and hitting the ground running week 1. Let's focus on hitting the ground running week 1. Like, that in and of itself, that comment lets me know that he knows I'm going to have this deal done before week 1. So once we get to week 1, Ezekiel Elliott will be rolling. I'm not so set on him not being in shape because he's proven that he can stay fit, he can train in Cabo as he's done this before, and he can come back ready to roll. My biggest issue with the Dallas Cowboys is making sure that everyone is on the same page and making sure that Dak Prescott has all guys on deck, all hands on deck, because this is a big year for him. Regardless if he gets his deal and his contract done, he's still, you talk about pressure, you talk about living up to a contract, he's still going to have something to prove because he's the one that is not proven that he can just bear the load. We've seen what Amari Cooper has done in Oakland. We've seen what he's done when he's come in late with the Dallas Cowboys. We know who Ezekiel Elliott is, but Dak Prescott is the one that he's been consistent. He's earned what he's going to get, but can he take his game to the next level? That's the question here for me.
And Kyle, when you look at the Cowboys, I think my other part is you got to be real careful that you don't want to disrupt. You're talking about hit the ground running on week 1. It could be dangerous to come into a season not fully loaded with all your guns, and then lose games early on, to teams that you probably should beat. Could be the difference between you making the playoffs as a wild card team compared to winning a division. How important is that?
Well, it's paramount. I mean, you got 16 chances. That's it. Especially in the beginning of the season, you have to set the tone for what your team and what your season's going to look like. And, having these distractions, not good at the end of the day, period. Training in Cabo, not good at the end of the day, period. This is there's certain things that need to be addressed if you want to continue to have a long career. I personally know that. You know that. At this moment in this, the same thing happened with Tony Romo, okay? Oh, I'm just going on vacation down in Cabo. Come on.
Right.
Come on. That's not happening. And so it's paramount that you start this season with your guys. They don't have two-a-days no more. They don't even, they got limited chances to be together. I know these guys have been there and all, but at the end of the day, the money's there. The money's going to continue to be there. Jerry knows he's got to get it done. A lot of this is just drama, in my opinion, and unfortunately where the league is today.
So as an offensive lineman, you don't have your starting running back.
Yeah.
You're going into practice, and you're going into preseason games with a Tony Pollard in cast.
Don't forget Amari Cooper hasn't practiced in 2 weeks.
I'm going to focus on the running back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've been having struggles as an offensive line. Obviously, we know who the Dallas Cowboys are. Their identity is based around the run. How frustrating is it as a lineman when the running back isn't there to hit those holes the way he typically hits those holes?
Yeah, well, go back and, that Ricky and I got into it. There was you have to have continuity. Continuity is king in the National Football League, especially in the running game. When that grounded game goes out on that field, if those offensive linemen aren't confident in their back, if their back's not confident in their offensive line, from knowing and how we work, because it's a game of inches, and minuscule things that people just don't see, especially in those trenches. And to have that knowledge, as Ezekiel knows very well, is as much of a key to his success as anything. And so, again, hopefully they get smart, get back in camp. You can run as many sand sprints as you want down there and get the skimboard out and think you're doing stuff, but come on.
So, Kyle, let me ask another question because it's tough for me. Like, Greg doesn't sound like he's nervous about the Cowboys. He's confident week 1. So's Jerry Jones. But is this just a media creation? Because there's all these talk shows and we've got time to discuss all this stuff. I mean, from the inside, when you were with the Saints, can you recall any moments where players were holding out, players were not showing up, players were injured and out? Is there any panic inside with 2 weeks to go to the season?
Of course. You always have contract issues. The game is a business at the same time. But again, it's image and it's what are you really doing? Is your focus 100%? I can tell you mine wasn't in Cabo when I was down there in the offseason. It wasn't 100% focused on my goal of getting healthy, getting back to where I knew I needed to be for the end of my career. And that's what, unfortunately, I think these young guys don't really understand because of the media of everything in the game today, that it's become more of that. And their dream has been lost. If he could get back to those Ohio and Missouri days and think back in that mindset, he wouldn't be in Cabo. He knows where he needs to be. And I think, as a player from the offensive line position, every position, you're going to have all this business drama. The owners need to step up and start acting like the owners that they should and not leave all this drama out here on the shoulders of young men,
Speaking of the Saints real quick, Drew Brees, last year at the end of the year, it seemed like he was going to win the MVP in the first half, and then his arm didn't seem the same, and even, late in the season. Is he okay? Is he going to be able to bounce back from what was the second half of the year? Is he okay? No, I'm just asking.
I love all the
bounce back.
Yeah, this guy's done. That guy's done. Tom Brady says.
He's been watching.
Come on.
He's an older quarterback, and he was having trouble throwing the ball.
Don't they have like a protective shield around them now?
Is that it?
It's like a bubble, right?
The cone of silence.
The safe zone.
Absolutely. It's called rules and regulations.
Yeah. He's got every opportunity, more than every opportunity than any other quarterback in the National Football League with Sean Payton at the helm. The defense now, again, the Saints are a contender every time, and especially with Drew Brees.
I see the Saints tattoo peeking out.
I
do have to ask.
No more need be said.
I'm just saying,
The last 2 years, they have been eliminated in brutal fashion in the playoffs. Of course, the Minnesota Miracle and then the missed call. Can they bounce back? Do you think they can bounce back for a third straight year to come back and make a run at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I hope so, because they definitely got robbed last year. Yeah. They should have been in Atlanta. I don't think there wasn't a bigger party in that town than when the Saints lost. It was like they won a Super Bowl in Atlanta, and that shouldn't have happened. So, going down to Miami this year, where the Saints won the Super Bowl last time.
Right, yeah.
So I'll put my bets down on that fleur-de-lis.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Good stuff. Coming up, Le'Veon Bell has not played a game in almost 600 days. Says he doesn't need the preseason reps. Reggie Bush joins us to
It don't matter.
if Bell is right. That's next.
No mercy.
We haven't seen Le'Veon Bell in a game action in over a year after he held out last season with the Steelers. It might be another week before we see him take the field in a Jets uniform. Head coach Adam Gase won't say whether or not Bell will play tonight versus the Falcons. But Bell doesn't think the preseason reps are necessary, saying that a couple of plays is all he needs to be ready to go. We're joined now by Super Bowl champion and USC legend.
How you doing?
Reggie Bush. Reggie, does Le'Veon Bell need the reps after missing all of last year?
Yes, he needs the reps.
What?
He hasn't taken any hits in almost 600 days. That's a long time to not be hit, and the game is always changing. That's not the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. That's not Sam Darnold throwing the football. That's not Big Ben throwing the football. It's a different system. It's a different team, right? There's different players. It takes years and years and years to build chemistry. You know this, especially with the quarterback-receiver relationship, but especially the running back who's the workhorse of that team. And so, to me, it's not necessarily of if he needs the reps, because he very much may not need those reps, but maybe the team needs you out there, right? You still Le'Veon Bell, and I know a lot of times in training camp or preseason, you know, a lot of veteran guys, and I was there. You don't want to go out in preseason because you got a bunch of young dudes out there flying around, going 100 miles an hour, doing everything they can to make the football team off of your name maybe, but you still Le'Veon Bell, right? You still one of the coldest running backs to ever play this game, this game has to offer right now. And even with that year off, I will still say that because that's how much I respect him in his game and what he does. But there's chemistry that we got to get to, right? It takes years to build that championship organization. It don't just happen when you show up on Sunday. It starts back in OTAs, off-season workouts, training camp, mini camp. That's how we get to this thing. And so to me, I understand Le'Veon's position. Maybe he doesn't need it, but maybe the team needs you.
I like that he's not really being involved from the standpoint of you seeing more and more in the NFL where veterans aren't partaking.
Mm-hmm.
Guys just aren't playing. Mm-hmm. Even the league wants to eliminate 2 preseason games and not even use those anymore. They want to make them regular season games for money-wise. And the last time we saw Le'Veon, he had 400 touches, and I bet his body feels good. And whatever he has to do in practice, I'm not so sure he really needs to have one series because he's not going to play a game. Mm-hmm. It's really one series. What is he going to get?
I mean, Reggie,
4 carries?
The Rams last year sat out the entire preseason. Not one offensive starter took a snap.
They went to the Super
Now, I know
Bowl.
Le'Veon Bell's new with the Jets, but isn't this the new normal? We got to protect guys.
I agree with you. You do want to protect yourself, right? And so if Le'Veon Bell hadn't missed the season, I'd be like, yeah, chill.
Of course.
Go ahead, relax. You don't need it because you have the experience, right? There's a flow to this thing that happens, right? Year in and year out, that first day of training camp, when you hitting, there is a shock that happens to your body that is unlike any other shock that you will ever experience. And it takes time for you to get adjusted to the hits, right? To the getting your body ready the next day, whether it's through therapy or just taking care of your body, chiropractors, massage therapists. There are so many things that go into being healthy and being ready for each day. It doesn't just happen on Sundays.
Yeah, I'm with Reggie on this one. And I definitely think he needs the reps simply because he hasn't had the reps since 2 years ago. And yes, he led the league in touches with 400 touches and rushing yards. He was third and all of these great things. And we know who he is, but I don't care if it's just from year to year. When you haven't taken that hit, it's something about going and actually getting that hit to get those cobwebs out to feeling I can still do this. One thing about being on the sideline, I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's injury. I don't care if it's you set out a whole year. When you're watching guys play, it starts mentally messing with you like, man, I was making those kind of plays. Because you start seeing things that are spectacular and you like, man, and it's almost like, do I still got it? I believe I still got it, but your mind starts working against you in ways where it's like, man, I need to get back out there. And so for me, Le'Veon Bell, it's not so much about does he need it because he's fresh. It's yes, he needs it because the game is what it is. And he knows that. Like everyone talks about receiver quarterback chemistry and how they need to put that time in the offseason, in training camp, and Antonio Brown needs to be there because he needs to understand the scheme and get on the same page with Derek Carr. Well, it's no different with the running back and the offensive line. We just had Kyle in here.
That's not going on in practice at all? I'm just asking.
It is, but it's different in the games. Those holes open and close quicker in the games than they do in practice. Am I right?
Way quicker. Way quicker.
When you're a running back and you're watching your offensive line and you're getting an understanding of how they block, it's you got to hit that A gap and he turns that. You kind of know what he's going to do. Reggie can speak to this because this has been his position all his life. And with Le'Veon Bell not being in Pittsburgh, as he alluded to, you're not watching the same running backs or the offensive line. You're not going to have that same opportunity of knowing, you know what, I know what Pouncey does. I've been doing this with him for years. No, he hasn't been doing this with these guys. So now, yes, you're getting it in training camp, but you're not getting it in game action, in game speed. He needs that.
I'll give him that. The Jets have 2 new starters on the offensive line, and it's not nearly as good as the Pittsburgh offensive line, which is the top 5 unit in the league.
And he has a very unique running style, too.
He does.
That the line and the team has to adjust to him.
So what are realistic expectations, Reggie, for Bell, given what Adam Gase has done with Matt Forte in Chicago as a dual threat and Kenyon Drake last year in Miami?
I mean, go out there and get your 6 plays, right? Like, you're not going to be out here for that long anyway. Go get your 6 plays, right? Humor us. We know that when it's open field one-on-one, ain't nobody tackling Le'Veon.
No.
Period. I don't care who it is. Humor us. We know that on the other side of the ball, there might be a couple young guys that's going to give 110% to tackle you, to try to make the highlight play on Le'Veon Bell, but you still Le'Veon Bell, and you still got one of the coldest moves that I've ever seen in this game. So to me, go out there and humor us for your 6 plays. It ain't going to be that much. It's not going to be that many plays anyway, right?
I love the move of Le'Veon to the Jets. I really, with Sam Darnold, I expect a big year from him.
Me too.
I really do, because you're going to have to respect that run.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold has a big arm. He also could catch from the backfield.
That relationship is going to be so important throughout this season because, like you just alluded to, Le'Veon Bell is just as much as a threat catching the ball out of the backfield as he is running the football. And again, Sam Darnold, this is only his 2nd year. Last year, he had some good signs and he showed some bad signs, right?
It was a rookie year, right?
It was a rookie year. And so they're depending on Le'Veon to be a leader for this football team. They're depending on Le'Veon to help Sam Darnold.
That's why they
brought him in there, to take some of that load off of him. So go out there and humor us for a couple plays and have a good time.
Let me ask a bit forward thinking here. So Le'Veon last year decided, I'm going to sit out because I want to get my money. It didn't really work out for him.
No, it did work out.
He didn't get the money. He didn't get
more. If you're going to hold out, you got to get more.
Yeah, the only problem is if he played last year and got hurt and didn't get any contract, then nobody would be like.
That's a big if.
I mean,
right? Melvin
but
Gordon.
It's possible.
Hold on.
Possible.
Melvin Gordon is now maybe doing the same with the Chargers. And Ezekiel Elliott, who has 2 years left, kind of doing the same. Is this the new normal for running backs? Everybody's like, hey, I mean, Reggie is a former running back.
The CBA doesn't work for running backs, though. Reggie doesn't.
I'm glad you said that. No, it don't work for us. The running back position has been watered down, and I think what we're seeing now is a lot of younger running backs, a lot of young guys are understanding I have a small window of opportunity to make the most money possible, because there are different games and tricks that teams may play where they try to run you into the ground and then trade you away the same way they did DeMarco Murray, right? Like if I'm Ezekiel Elliott, I'm looking at what they did to DeMarco, and I'm saying, I got to get my money right now.
And he catches way more passes
He catches way more passes, right? And so I think running backs are understanding that I got to get my money now while I'm young, because once you get to 27, 28, them contracts ain't rolling in like that, I promise you. You get about one big contract as a running back, and that's it. That's it. Like, this will be Zeke's big contract, and then most likely he'll get maybe a lower, like, 2-year deal, 3-year deal maybe for a little bit of money. But it's hard to get 2 or 3 big contracts as a running back. And so I think, and I love what I'm seeing, because I think now running backs are understanding, okay, our position is watered down, so while I'm hot, I got to get it while I'm hot.
So Melvin Gordon, would you advise him? Hey, Melvin, I would show up in camp because it doesn't appear anybody's trading for him. And, it looks like he could possibly sit out the full season.
I don't think he's going to sit out the full season. And he has a pretty decent offer on the table, I believe. I don't know the numbers right now, but from what I've heard, he has a pretty decent offer on the table, right? Something like 10 a year.
He saw the Gurley.
10 million.
He saw the Gurley money, and he's like, hey,
Why not shoot for Gurley money if they're giving it out?
He's not a Gurley player.
This dude right here just reset the market and didn't get more money.
Yeah.
So we heard Stephen Jones say that exact thing on the radio. He said, the running back market has been reset with Le'Veon Bell. We pay attention to those things, right? And so that's what they're saying, is that we ain't giving you Todd Gurley money. We about to give you Le'Veon Bell money.
But you got to take a look at, if you're a running back in these situations, whether you're Melvin Gordon, where the Chargers have a good team, have an open window with a veteran quarterback, you can't wait. Same thing with the Cowboys. If you're a running back, you got to say, this is my moment here. Cowboys are trying to win, and this is, if I wait for another year or so or get hurt or something happens, I'm not going to get paid. And the other thing is, it's more than just running the football as a running back. You have to block. You're involved in a lot of other things where you can get hurt, correct?
A lot. And so I've always said, sorry not to cut you off, I've always said that the running back position is one of the toughest positions because you're always outweighed. It's different than when you in boxing, right? You're fighting somebody who's your size and who's your weight for the most part. In football, you got to block deep tackles. They're 300 pounds. You got to block Aaron Donalds. You got to block Dominican Sues, right? Those are not easy people to block, especially one-on-one as a running back. Linebackers who are coming down safeties that are blitzing off the edge. Like, you are always having to, block somebody who is just either they outweigh you or they may be a little bit faster than you.
You're in a compromising position. And so for me, when I go back to Le'Veon Bell, he's already had 400 touches the last time we saw him. That was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had several weapons around him. That was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 400 touches.
Yeah.
With a second-year quarterback with the Jets.
He can't have more than that. Do you think he's going to have more than 400 touches?
Not have 400.
Look,
they kept Bilal Powell. They're not giving him 400 touches.
Look, they're going to count on him to bear the load. He can come really close. He may not have 400 touches, but he's going to come close. You pay him that money. You expect him to take some of the load off of your young quarterback, not only in the running game, but as we mentioned, in the passing game as well. And we all know the best friend of a quarterback, a young quarterback, is having a guy that you can turn to and check it down to.
Or hand that ball off.
Yes, when I was in Minnesota and Teddy Bridgewater was at quarterback, all I heard from the offensive coordinator in the headphones was, use your check down, use your check down. All we heard. As a receiver, you hate that, but you understand the importance of it with the young, developing quarterback because they've got to go through those progressions.
All right, can Kyler Murray possibly live up to expectations? That's next.
No mercy.
Cardinals rookie Kyler Murray steps back on the field tonight against the Raiders in his second preseason game. Cards GM Steve Keim obviously thinks highly of the rookie by taking him #1 overall and calling him a generational talent. However, there has been skepticism around the league if the Heisman winner's electric style and short stature will translate from the college to the pros. All right, Reggie Bush, you have some experience in that area.
Which one, the stature or the talent?
I'll let him answer that. What do you expect to see from Kyler Murray as he adjusts from the Big 12 to the NFL?
Well, it's going to be tough because I believe Kyler Murray is on a team with a bunch of unproven guys. We can start with the head coach, who there's going to be a grace period, I think, that everybody's going to need to adjust to, because Kyler Murray, not only is he on a team with not a lot of weapons, but he's also in a division that's very tough. And the one thing I worry about for Kyler Murray is, can they protect him, right? Because in the last preseason game, we saw some good throws, we saw some rhythm throws, we saw some good decision-making, and then we saw that offensive line breakdown. And so to me, that's the one thing I'm worried about, because you got to block Aaron Donald, right? The best, people have referred to him as the Michael Jordan of football right now. And he doesn't have a ton of weapons around him on top of that, right? He got a lot of unproven guys. You have a good running back in David Johnson, but David Johnson has struggled last year. He struggled over the last couple of years. So to me, there's going to be a figuring it out period with the head coach, with the quarterback, and it's going to be tough for him. I don't want to sit there and say, is he a generational player? Everybody's a generational player coming out of college, right? Like, we all had success in college, or else we would have never made it to the NFL. But what you did in college does not help you in the NFL, period. Sorry.
But I was going to say, but the GM, Keim, like, to put that out there on him. I know Keim is under the,
under fire.
He's under the fire
He's
because
under the fire right now.
he has to put all his chips in. But that puts added pressure on a guy who's trying to make that transition, who's a little smaller than everybody. So right away, if they struggle or whatever, it'll be like generational. You know what I mean?
So you could be a generational player on a bad football team, right? Like, I've seen more players' careers get killed because of bad systems that they're in, because of maybe the coaching wasn't right for them, right? We've seen also players who have gone to other teams and have great careers because of the system that they were in. A guy that I played with, I got drafted with, Rob Ninkovich, right? When I was in New Orleans, we cut Rob Ninkovich twice. I believe Sean Payton even said to Ninkovich, he didn't think he would be any more than a long snapper, right? So then, and I think this is public knowledge. I think Sean has even joked about this before, but then looking at what Rob Ninkovich did with the New England Patriots, to me, that's a matter of systems, right? It's a matter of coaching, right? Like, when you go to a system with good coaching, you got good pieces around you, it's great. It's lovely. But when you're on a team where you have to be the guy, and everybody's depending on you, that's a lot of pressure.
Perfect example is Draymond Green with Golden State. And that circumstance and situation was perfect.
But the other question, we talked about this earlier, Reggie, if they don't hire Cliff Kingsbury, does Kyler Murray go #1 overall?
I don't think so.
I don't think anybody thinks that.
I don't think so at all. And I was reading up some articles last night where the GM was talking about how he was actually watching games to watch Quentin Williams or some other guys, and he couldn't take his eyes off of Kyler Murray. And so Does it fit with Cliff Kingsbury's system?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I think it fits better than what Josh Rosen would have fit. But his rest of his career is going to be tied to this guy right here. Cliff Kingsbury and the GM, their career is going to be tied to him.
I like Kingsbury a lot, but let's remember, he was fired from a school that didn't do much last year in the middle of the season. Greg, go ahead.
I don't need to go ahead. I mean, I know what the expectations are, but for me, when I look at Kyler Murray, you talk about a growing process and the growing pains. That's what it's going to always be for a young quarterback coming in. But for Kyler Murray and his ability to lead and be endorsed by your general manager, by your head coach, having that endorsement in and of itself alone gives you an added confidence to a player who already knows in his own mind how good he really is and what he can bring to the table. Now, is he going to completely right the ship? No, because they have a lot of holes and voids to fill specifically right in front of him that are going to be protecting him. That is not on Kyler Murray. But what I think he will provide is an opportunity for those guys to buy even more time because his escapability, because of his ability to extend plays and keep his eyes down the field and still make plays. He is the type of player that will make guys around him better.
See, I'm with Reggie, though.
No, hold on. We talk about Dak Prescott and them needing to bring guys around him to elevate his level of play and to improve who he is. That's the difference between a guy like him, he and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is the type of guy you insert and he's going to automatically elevate the guy's level of play around him because he has that game-breaking skill set, both dual running and passing the ball.
But I'm with Reggie from the standpoint that sometimes you put a guy who's a talented guy on a really bad team, and all of a sudden he can't do those things that he doesn't have the time. He's getting pummeled. Everybody's looking and going, oh, wait a minute, Kyler Murray's supposed to be this and that. And that's what I worry about with this organization that has made a lot of blunders over the years.
And I say this with all due respect to Kyler Murray because I do think he's a great talent, but he's not the first running quarterback. He's not the first quarterback with escapability, right? Like there's a guy named Aaron Rodgers who you play with who to me is a genius, who is a mastermind at escaping, and even he has gotten hurt, right?
He doesn't have the speed.
No.
And he doesn't, but he can buy more time for his receivers.
But why is he so good? Because it's the difference between a running quarterback and a dual threat quarterback. Like Lamar Jackson, that is a running quarterback first. Like primarily his thought, when things break down, I'm running, I'm taking off. Kyler Murray is not that way. We heard Eric Mangini even say he has poise enough to where, in a pocket presence, to where I'm going to stand in there. I know I have my legs as a scapegoat, as my last resource, but it's not primary. I'm going to use my legs secondary, but my arm is everything that I need.
I feel so bad for this kid, man. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers in the same sentence as Kyler Murray. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played, 2 years at Cal, sat for 3 years behind Brett Favre. Kyler Murray had 17 starts in college and is now going in where they're calling him a generational talent. This is a guy, Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson are kind of the prototypes, smaller quarterbacks. They had 46 starts in college, Reggie. I mean, how much does the reps matter?
But they matter a lot, a lot. And listen, for Kyler Murray, the biggest question is, are they going to be able to protect him, right? Because even with the reps, we can sit here and talk about all the reps that he did or didn't get at the college level. He was great in college, period. Dwayne Haskins was great in college.
14 starts.
50 touchdowns in one season, right? Like there's going to be a grace period that Ohio State fans are going to need to adjust to because I'm not sure if Justin Fields can go out there and give them that same production. But in the sense of Kyler Murray, the one thing I worry about with defenses and defense coordinators is they know he's short. And they know that in order for him to create more time to open up windows for his receivers, he's got to do what? He's got to escape. He's got to do some things with his legs, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to blitz him from all edges, or they're going to make sure that their defensive linemen rush those gaps. Don't let him outside that pocket. Keep him in there and just put your hands up and make it ugly for him.
Alabama did that a lot early in the title game. Quick note on the offensive line. The Cardinals used 13 different starters on the offensive line last year, the most anybody's used in the last 18 years. That's a bad sign for Kyler Murray.
That is not a good sign for Kyler Murray.
You mentioned Justin Fields in college football. Let's pivot there.
Yeah.
We love college football. I haven't had a chance to talk a lot about it. Many things. I know you're geeked for the new show. Tell us about college football.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in college football. I can't wait. I'm with a great supporting cast, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Coach Urban Meyer, man. Who doesn't want to work with one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game? I'm back with my brother Matt. Me and Brady are already hitting it off, having a good time. And I'm looking forward to it. It's crazy because so much of the college game has changed, right? Like, everything is RPO now. Everything. Everybody's offense is RPO. Everybody wants to score as many touchdowns as fast as they can. So the game has changed, right? And so I'm learning so much just about how much it's changed. But there's also a lot of great players, man. I was studying up on guys last night, guys like Rondale Moore, guys like Laviska Shenault.
Purdue?
From Purdue,
yeah, he's
114 receptions as a rookie, as a freshman.
Yeah, he's a
114.
Are we going to still see the same two teams at the end of the year, though, in the championship, or something different?
Everybody get ready. It's going to be Alabama-Clemson.
Can we fast forward to the
Just go ahead, fast forward.
Wait, we can't fast forward without this. Who are you more excited to see next year, Tua or Trevor Lawrence?
Ooh. I got to go with the new kid on the block, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because Tua, listen, I'm a fan of greatness, and I think sometimes people can kind of get bored with greatness, right? Because Tua has been doing it at a high level for a while. Trevor Lawrence is like this new kid on the block that it's like, well, where'd this guy come from? He took his team to the national championship in the first season, right? Won it, threw 6 touchdowns in the playoffs, no interceptions. Like, we're talking about a freshman. I think he was barely 18 years old. Dude's still wet behind the ears.
Well, that's why I'm so excited, because he's not only doing it as a freshman, but his main target was a freshman as well. So they're going to grow and excel together. It's going to be impressive.
Maybe USC will be a 500 team.
Yeah, maybe.
Get this.
Just like that.
I got to go out on that. I didn't mention Chip Kelly at least. Get this. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 straight interceptions at practice yesterday. Wait till you hear what Greg has to say about his guy, Jimmy G. That's next.
Practice. We talking about practice.
No mercy.
Brutal day yesterday for 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. He threw 5 straight interceptions in practice. Head coach Kyle Shanahan tried to brush it off, saying it's good to see how guys react to adversity, and also praising his defense for their play. Jimmy G is making his return after he tore his ACL in week 3 last year. Oh, boy. Mr. Rob Parker, Jimmy Garoppolo, 5 straight picks. Is the guy overhyped?
He is overhyped, and not just based off the 5 interceptions in practice. So I don't want Greg to fall out of his chair that I'm making such a big deal. But my goodness, I mean, you want to talk about a small sample size. I mean, he just hasn't played a lot, and I got it. He's been injured. But he got the big contract. Everybody's all about Jimmy G. Oh, my goodness, he's going to be that. He was supposed to be Tom Brady's replacement, handpicked by Bill Belichick and all this.
You said it, too.
I need to see more from him before I'm ready to crown him anything. I'm not there. 17 touchdowns, 8 picks. He's got an 8-2 record. The numbers are small in 10 games. I mean, in 24 games. So I'm not totally there on Jimmy G. I think we need to see. This is the year we need to see him. You talked about it before.
So, yes, he's overhyped.
He is overhyped to this point. I want to see him for a full season. I want to see this guy perform and see where he is and what all the hubbub is about, because I haven't seen it yet, other than a handful of games where he's played well.
No, he's not overhyped. We haven't had a chance to even really hype him up.
He got a big contract, Greg. That wasn't off of hype. What was that off of?
That was off of his performance.
No, it wasn't. He played 6 games.
In the time that he was allotted to play behind Tom Brady.
So a big contract off of 6 games?
Look, he earned that based off of what he did and what he showed, and the 49ers paid him. That's not my problem. But let me get back to these 5 interceptions.
Here we go.
Allen Iverson said it best. Practice? We talking about practice? We talking about 5 interceptions in practice. Are these going on his stat sheet for his career? We talking about practice, and we want to sit here and talk about Jimmy G. Do we track the amount of touchdowns guys throw in practice? because they have a red zone period, they have third down blitz, they have team period, goal line, all these. We don't ever come back on these shows and say, you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo threw 8 touchdowns in practice today. No, because it's practice. Don't nobody care about that.
But 5 in a row, that's not unusual to you?
It is unusual, but practice is used for that. To get better, to make all your mistakes. I don't care how many mistakes. Make them all in practice. Don't make it in the game. Let's see if he transfers that performance over to the field of play.
But I always thought football was about practice, more so because you don't play as many games. So football, how do you earn your way on the field, Greg, in football? Isn't it in practice?
It is in practice, but you better for darn sure make some plays in the game.
I get it, but that's how you get there.
Yeah, right? But how you stay in this league. How you stay in this league is what you do on Sunday.
What was the knock on Tim Tebow? Oh, he's a bad practice player, which translated to a bad regular season player.
Rob, you're way off here. I have notes for every segment, okay? This is what I have for Jimmy G.
Is that
no concern whatsoever.
No, that's just because you didn't do any prep.
No, I'm about to give you all the goods. First of all, I love the 49ers this year. We talked with Reggie Bush in the commercial. He likes them as well. Jimmy Garoppolo just keeps getting hurt. That's his only problem. I'm not worried about practice, nor should you.
You bashed Aaron Rodgers for getting hurt, but Jimmy Garoppolo's
I mean, the last 6 years, Aaron Rodgers has been missed 16
No, he
games.
hasn't the last 6 years.
So here's my issue with the 49ers right now. They went out and they got running backs. They got like 5 running backs, Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, all these guys. And they got like 4 receivers who are good. I just worry about the cohesiveness if Jimmy G can't stay on the field. The interceptions, as Greg said, don't worry about it. He's not overhyped as long as he can play. If Bill Belichick anoints you the next guy, I mean, it's Bill Belichick.
He's been wrong before. Do you remember?
What has he been wrong about?
He was in Cleveland. You want to go back and look at Bill
25
Belichick?
years we're going back on Belichick?
But was he wrong or was he right on everything he does? Come on, man, with the Jimmy G. I got it.
Jimmy G is not overhyped. Have we seen enough of him? Possibly not. But what we have seen has been very special. What we've seen with him in that helmet, in that uniform, he has proven that he can win when he's starting, when he's under him. That's why he got paid that money.
I saw some bad games in San Francisco before he got hurt.
Oh, wait, you mean the last 5 games that he won when he took over?
Against who?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this is what we do. You did this with Baker Mayfield. # inconsistent Rob.
Oh!
When Baker Mayfield, you had to make sure you isolated the schedule to see, okay, let's look at the teams over 500.
Oh, got him.
Let's look at the teams over 500. But he took care of the teams that he needed to. That's what we are asking quarterbacks to do. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win. That's all a sport. Win the games you're supposed to win. You did this with LeBron James as well. When he lost to the Atlanta Hawks, when he lost to all these teams, you said, but he lost to the Hawks. How did he lose to the Hawks? It doesn't matter. You're supposed to win the games you're supposed to win that are laid out for you. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo has done.
But also to go to the next level, you got to be able to beat some good teams. So the jury's out for me on Jimmy Garoppolo.
On his health or his talent?
No, on his talent. I haven't seen enough. I just haven't. He might be a flash in the pan. We've had guys like that around.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't go to yesterday's practice or don't watch yesterday's practice film because you think that that's the barometer of everything. 5 interceptions in practice. I do want to say,
hey, let's just say you were, at practice one day and your quarterback throws 5 straight picks. The reaction from the receivers is?
Like, come on, man, what are you doing? Absolutely.
He might say, "Get open, Greg."
So you're saying
it's not always like so, and we know this. Quarterbacks, they take the stat and it goes on their stat. We don't see what the receiver's done. If it was a tipped ball, if it was a dropped interception that created an interception, it's not always on the quarterback. I wasn't at practice yesterday, and even if I was, I know what he can provide. Has he thrown 5 interceptions in the game? Is he been proven that he's going to throw interceptions?
They're going to make the playoffs, yes or no?
Yes.
I'm going to.
You hesitated.
I'm going to hesitate. I'm going to hesitate because I need to see more out of them as a team.
Playoffs.
I know if he's there, they have a chance.
Hey, more than a chance.
They got a tough division, though.
Speaking of playoffs, gentlemen, does Sam Darnold, oh yeah, here we go, baby. Does Sam Darnold really have the tools to be an all-time great? You know what I think. What do these guys think?
Practice?
Practice. We talking about practice.
Talking about practice?
No mercy.
Time for our final topic of the day, the New York Jets. Play caller Sam Darnold is impressing a lot of former QBs heading into his second year in the league. On Monday, Jets legend Joe Namath said Darnold could physically play as well as anybody. Tuesday, Tony Romo weighed in. Said Darnold has, quote, got that thing the great ones have. Rob, I feel like the question's not will, but when will Sam Darnold be an all-time great?
I think he has the potential. I'm with the other guys. I really do. Sam Darnold, he's that prototypical quarterback, strong arm. Now he's got Le'Veon Bell that's going to help him this year to be able to develop. Last year, he had over 220 yards a game, which was a Jets record. I have one shy of Joe Namath's rookie record as far as touchdowns with 17. We know he had his bumps and lumps. He started out.
Interceptions?
Yeah, he had interceptions. He had 15 interceptions. Okay. No, I'm not, but he was a rookie. I'm not saying he was going to be great from day one, but I think the Jets finally have their franchise quarterback that they're going to be able to plug in for the next 12, 14 years. And I believe he will take over the AFC East from Tom Brady.
Finally, a Brady take I like.
Okay, all-time great. I'm going to pause on that because I don't want to say anything like generational talent too soon, guys. You know, as we've said, yeah, all-time great. Are you
not generational?
Seriously, we're already saying all-time great. He has the potential, possibly. We'll see. He threw for less than 3,000 yards, which is.
Stop.
I mean, hey, look. Let's look at Baker Mayfield. One of the guys. Is he all-time great now too?
System.
Does he have potential?
A great system last year.
I don't want to hear all of that. He had a different coaching
and it
change.
shouldn't even count because they played the Bengals
I like
twice.
Sam Darnold. Let's pause on the all-time great. Will he be? Does he have the potential? Yeah, but so does everyone who comes into the National Football League day one.
Rough rookie year, interception-wise. I just want to note, in December, right, end of the season, he's starting to get up to speed on his talent around him, on the opponents, the opposing defenses. 64% completions, 7.4 yards per attempt, 6 TDs and 1 pick. I saw growth, key theme in this show today, and improvement from Darnold throughout the year. Folks, I'm not overestimating it. With the addition of Le'Veon Bell, as he said, Jamison Crowder, a great slot receiver, one of the best slot receivers in the league, and the Adam Gase system, Sam Darnold will be tremendous this year. This is the guy who was the youngest starting quarterback in the NFL last year.
He will be much improved this year. I'm not knocking Sam Darnold by any stretch, but to say all-time great, I think that's a more reach than generational talent.
I got a lot of money on him to win the Super Bowl. That's it for us.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.